Hey, welcome to my channel and to another tag video. If you will notice, I don't have my sidekick. If you saw my video from yesterday, you know that he is building me a ramp, and he has been very busy. And when he's through with the day, then he's too tired. I'm not going to bother him, so he's out there this morning. So you just stuck with me. This week, the questions are from Edie over at 80's Adventures, and it is all about the 80s. Now, I will confess to you, some of these come off the top of my head. Some of these I had to really study on, because y'all know that the memories up in here, phew. But I think I got an answer. I think I got an answer for everything, which is probably going to shock some of you. So we will get started. Who was your favorite 80s band? Well, I like all kind of music, but the one band that sticks out in my mind that I was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs in the 80s was the Culture Club. I loved Boy George. Oh my gosh. I loved him. I loved everything about him. His voice, he has a beautiful voice. I love the way he danced. I loved his makeup. I loved his clothes with the long coats. I loved the way he danced with his little legs and his little hands up here like this. I loved him so. In case you didn't realize, I love Boy George. So I'm going with the Culture Club. Number 2, what was your favorite 80s song? I had to think on that one a minute. And then there's one song, I told you, I had a different life in the 80s. The early 80s and 1980s when I went to college. So the first several years of 80s I was in college. Then I came home. And then I got married. And I was married through the rest of the 80s. And so the first part of the 80s is more of the answers here than the second part, because marriage, baby, when I had the baby, I don't know if I saw a movie or listened to music at all when I had RJ. I don't even know. Like I told you yesterday, he was attached to my hip for 2 years. So there's probably 2 years I was not even aware of what was going on in the social world. But some of these are mainly based on like the college years. This song, even though I like all kind of music, this song jumped out at me because when I would go back and forth to school, I had a car, did not have a cassette or an 8-track or nothing like that. So I had a boom box that I kept over in the seat beside me with a cassette player. And this comes down to one of the questions here. It's a tape I made. And I love to play Burning Down the House. I don't know what it was about that song, but I can just see myself going up and down that mountain playing Burning Down the House. So that's the song that popped out in my head. Whether it's the favorite one of all of the 80s, because I loved Aerosmith. There's Aerosmith songs that I love. You see what I'm saying? But we'll go with that one because that was just one that popped out in my head with that memory attached to it. Number 3, did you do any trend? Did you do any? Oh, did you? I read that wrong the very first time. Did you do any trends from the 80s? Example, neon colored clothes, big hair. I would have done big hair. Well, that was the 70s when I had permanents. I didn't do permanents in the 80s. I couldn't do big hair because my hair is so fine and thin. It wouldn't stay up if you tried. You couldn't plaster it up. So I didn't do big hair. I didn't do neon colored clothes, but in college I did bright colored clothes. They weren't neon, but they were bright. I remember this one, I don't even know why I remember it. This one, like, it's a prettier than teal and not a bright blue. I don't know, but it is a gorgeous blue, white and striped, bold stripes up and down. Because, vertical stripes, I can wear them. I can wear them now if I want to. And then it was a collar. Remember when you wore your collars up? I did that. I did the collar up. So it had the collar up. And I had one of those, like, not the banana clip, but the other, I don't think that's the collar. The banana clip's the one that has the teeth in it, right? Or is the one that you squeeze And you remember you had a color for every outfit. You squeeze it, you like twist your hair up and squeeze it. And then the ends on them had different shapes. Are those banana? Tell me what those are called. They're just called squeezies. I don't know. And I had one of those that matched. Oh my gosh. What I wouldn't give to have I wish I had never got rid of those things. I think I would rock one right. I think I would whoop this ponytail right up there and just snap it down with one of them. I think I had a pink one that was a heart on the end. I had a yellow. I had all the colors. Green. I had all the colors. So we'll go with the bright colors, the collars up, the squeezy things in the hair, big earrings. Oh my gosh. I worked the big earrings. I had some, oh my gosh. That was the 80s. Some pretty hearts. I think I have one pair left, actually. Big plastic heart pendant things. I don't know. I should wear them one day and show you. Yeah, I should. I think I'll put them on. I think I have them. If I do, I think I'll put them on one day and see if anybody remembers it from this tag. Then let's see. Number 4, how old were you in the 80s? You don't have to answer if you don't want to. I don't mind. I was in my 20s. That was the 20s was my year. I turned 20 in 82, so I rocked the 20s on out. Number 5, what was your favorite sitcom from the 80s, if you have one? Probably, now this is from the end of the 80s, and it's probably Roseanne, because I didn't watch sitcoms in college. Now, there are shows I watched, One Day at a Time, different little things like that. I think, was that the 80s or the 70s? I might be confused. I don't know. I did watch TV, but I wasn't like glued to it. Now, when Roseanne came on, I was a TV, which I grew up watching TV. It sounds like I quit watching TV, but I was more into like socializing and stuff in college and stuff like that. But then I was married and Roseanne came on. I remember they advertised it. And me and my mama and my first husband, we were so excited. The advertisements they put out were so funny. We're just like, who is this Roseanne person? We've got to see this show. Well, my first husband had a VCR. And I just thought, oh my gosh, you got a VCR? We didn't have a VCR. Poor people don't have VCRs back in the 80s. Not in around here. So we got us a tape, popped it in so we could tape it because we wanted to make sure we didn't miss it. So we taped the very first Roseanne and then we sat there and watched it. So I'm going with Roseanne because I still like it to this day. It has stood the test of time. I like the older ones the best. The newer ones, they got kind of dumb, but the older ones when the kids were young, hilarious. Number 6. Who was your crush in the 80s? Singer, actor, or whoever? That one was easy. Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise all the way. It's Johnny Depp now. It's been Johnny Depp for a long time, but it was Tom Cruise for a long time till Johnny Depp took his place. Number 7. What was your favorite movie from the 80s? Now this, y'all are going to laugh and think, really? It is a movie called Breakin'. I was into dance music. Disco had kind of turned to, it wasn't rap. It was just kind of house party music. I don't know how to describe it. I'm not hip on the terms. But I was into going to house parties and college dorm parties. And there was this movie that me and my friends went to see at the movie theater called Breakin', and it was all about breakdancing, and the music in it was just popping. It was popping, I'll tell you. Some of the worst acting you've ever seen. Who cares? I loved it for the dancing in it because the boys could dance. The girl could dance too. The story was fine by me, but the music was great. That's where I first learned and saw Ice-T. That's where I learned who Ice-T was. Yeah. So I'm gonna say Breaking It. If you ain't never seen it and you like dance music from the 80s, early 80s, go find Breaking. It used to come on TV a lot. Back in the day, it used to come on TV a lot, and I would watch it every single time. I hadn't seen it in years. Now I want to. Number 8. Did you ever make mixtapes? Example, love songs, dance. Yes. The earliest mixtape tapes I ever made was on an 8-track with the microphones sitting in front of the radio. I can see myself, my room, the middle room up there. That was my bedroom. This was my brother's room. And I had one, and Mama had got me one of them stereos that was sitting in there. It wasn't a fancy one, but it's the one she could afford that was sitting in the cabinet, you know. It didn't have all the components. It had a record player, and it had a radio and a 8-track. I would sit there and plug the microphones, the external microphones, into the front of it, turn the radio on, and put the speakers in front of the radio. And if somebody come to your door and spoke while it was recording, you were just furious because you're like, I was recording. So you would just wait to see what was coming on the radio. And if the first beat was a song you knew, you hurried up and hit record. And then I had those mixtapes that I made that I had burning down the house on that I took back and forth to college. So yes, I have made mixtapes. Number 9, did you own a Swatch watch? No, I did not. And number 10, what kind of car did you or your family own in the 80s? The car that I owned the longest in the 80s was a 60-something, and I cannot remember the year, Ford Galaxy 500. It was a tank. It was a huge car. But you know what? It was provided to me, and that's what got me back and forth to college, to my jobs, to wherever I needed to go. Big old car got me there. It was green. The paint was fading, but it had one seat all the way across the front, the bench seat, all the way across the front. You could probably fit 10 people in it. So that was my car in the 80s. So listen, Edie, I thought I was going to have a hard time with this one. Then when I got to thinking about it, I'm like, you know what? I really do have answers for this. So it was fun. It was fun going back and digging up some of those memories from the 80s. The 80s was a good time for me. I'm just here to tell you. 80s was a good time. I've told you how many times before. There are things that I would not do again. I would not repeat. No. But then there are things that I would. And some of those things that I would are from the 80s. So, good memories. All right. Well, that's it for me. Hopefully, my sidekick, my main man, Mr. Smooth, will be back next week. And I'm not sure if it's Roy next week or I need to consult my calendar if I still have it. I don't even know. I don't know. So anyway, that is all for me today. And let me tell you this. Check out everybody in the description box because everybody's down there. And the questions are down there too if you want to answer them. So that is it for me. And I will see you in my next video.